Will the confessed NSA leaker Edward Snowden get extradited from Hong Kong? We'll ask a renowned legal expert all that and more right here, right now on Lunch Break. Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Simon Constable, in for Wendy Bounds. With analysis on this legal question, Harvard Law School Professor Alan Dershowitz joins us now from New York. And thank you very much for being there, sir. Is Hong Kong the right place for the leaker to have ended up?
Well, he's striking a balance. He wants to be in a country or a place that accepts diversity and freedom of speech, and he wants to minimize his chances of being extradited. He would have been better off probably going to Iceland or perhaps some other country which would regard an extradition request from the United States as political. I think what the United States government will do if they're smart is they will not indict him for espionage or anything that sounds political. They will indict him for simple theft. They will accuse him of having stolen material from his employer and try to make this into as conventional a crime as possible so that the Hong Kong authorities will not be able to say, well, this is a political crime, and we're not going to get involved in political disputes between the United States and its citizens.
So they'll make it a simple crime. Does Beijing, do you think, buy that way of approaching it? Because Beijing has the ability to block an extradition, doesn't it? It can sort of weigh in.
Yes, and that's why I think they're going to make it into a conventional crime. It will make it easier for Beijing to say, we don't have to get involved. This is just an ordinary theft case. There have been other extradition cases where people have stolen intellectual property, where people have stolen other matters, financial matters. Now, of course, for China, it's a little hard because China is well known for its own theft of intellectual property. It's probably the leading theft country in the world when it comes to stealing American business secrets. This is a little different, and I suspect that the politics will play out in a way that will result very likely in his extradition. Now, once he's brought back to the United States, if he's extradited, he can only be tried for the crimes for which he's been extradited. There is a principle called the principle of speciality, which basically prevents a government from playing switch and saying we're going to extradite him on an ordinary criminal case, but then when we get him back to the United States, we'll try him for espionage and have him face a much harsher penalty. They're not going to be able to do that.
So, Professor Dershowitz, when you think about this case and you think about one that's going on now, Bradley Manning, how do they compare? Are the issues similar?
The issues are quite similar, except, of course, Bradley Manning was in the United States military, so he doesn't get the right of trial by jury in front of an ordinary civilian jury. He's tried in a military context, whereas this man, not a member of the military, will be tried if he's brought back to the United States in front of a jury. And the United States will have to pick carefully where they land him. If they land him, for example, in San Francisco, he might get a very sympathetic jury in Silicon Valley. So they may very well want to land him in Virginia or somewhere else where he's much less likely to get a sympathetic jury. Virginia is, after all, the home of the CIA. So they might prefer to have him tried in a Virginia federal court.
So if this does go to trial, what sort of position does that put the NSA in? Because when you have a trial, a lot of things come out, information, and the NSA is by its nature very secretive. Is that something they're going to manage to avoid, sort of leaking all sorts of secrets just through the process of a trial?
That used to happen a lot, and then the United States Congress passed what's called the gray mail statute, which makes it much harder for a defendant like this to essentially blackmail the government and say, look, if you put me on trial, I'll reveal all the secret information. A balance has now been struck, and so it's possible to put people like this on trial. Now, the real problem is the federal statute is so broad and vague that it covers the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal. Anybody who prints classified information is, under the statute, guilty of espionage or violating the secrecy laws. Of course, the government never goes after the New York Times, the Washington Post, and other newspapers. It tends to go after the leakers. And, of course, the big question now is whether it will go after the Julian Assange WikiLeaks. I've consulted with him on that matter, whether he is going to be considered more like Bradley Manning or more like the New York Times. And that's a question that the government will have to face. This is becoming an increasing problem, and we need new legislation to specify precisely when it's legal and illegal to publish classified material of this kind.
Okay, very quickly, Rand Paul looking to challenge the legality of all of this, all of this spying. How do you think that's going to go? And also, quickly about the public opinion. I mean, has the government already lost? We've got about 20 seconds.
I think Rand Paul's argument won't fly at all. Clearly, there is a right, a power of the government to punish people who leak classified secret material. We do overclassify. And public opinion probably will be mixed. And all you need is one or two jurors to acquit in order to get a hung jury. So there's no certainty that even if he's brought back to this country, that he'll be successfully prosecuted.
Okay, we appreciate your time, sir. Professor Alan Dershowitz coming to us from New York. We appreciate your time on that.